this tutorial we're going to go over basic animation in Blender 3D with characters, and a good program to start out with to give you just a really basic character to use is MakeHuman, and it has various parameters that adjust like age, muscle, weight, gender, and it's just very simple to start out. For the rigging, I would suggest using the game engine. That's what I found the best overall effect with it, especially with the waist and being able to adjust it with the inverse kinematics. I just recommend using the game engine. It just works the best I've seen with Blender 3D. So we're going to have that selected and go to Files and use Filmbox FBX, which is also a common format that's used with Unreal Engine. And we'll just use the default settings that MakeHuman normally does. And let's do export. Now back in Blender 3D, we'll start a new scene and go to File, Import, FBX, and we'll import that new character. Now go up in the top left corner, there's a more suited view, the animation view, and it'll give you both the dope sheet and a graph editor. So the dope sheet is where all the keyframes and everything are going to be set up for all your characters in the entire scene. Okay, so now back to the character. To see all the bones on the character, you'll want to go nearby this modifier section and then click on pose and go to X-ray, and that'll let you see all the different bones on the character. And we're not ready to just animate just yet because the legs and the feet do not respond in the way you would think they would do. So over here we'll click on our bones and go to pose mode. This is where you can select each individual bone, and you'll see that it doesn't let you move or adjust things the way you would think that you could. So we'll fix that by, we're going to fix this by disconnecting this bone right here, and then on the bone above it, the calves, we're going to give it an inverse kinematic constraint. So for now, we'll click on this bone right here, we'll go tab to go into edit mode, and then you'll hold Alt and press P, do clear parent, Alt and P again, and disconnect the bone, and then press tab to get out of edit mode. And we'll need to rotate this bone back into place, so RX minus 90, enter, and just move it with the Y axis and the Z, and we'll put it back into place. Again, do that for the other bone, tab into edit mode, Alt P, clear parent, Alt P, disconnect bone, and again RX minus 90, try that again, RX minus 90, move that into place. Okay, now we're going to give inverse kinematics so that when you move the feet, the entire body will bend or deform the right way. So we'll select this calf, and then over here you'll see bone constraints. We'll add inverse kinematic. The first target is the actual bone setup itself, which is the game engine, and then this is the left foot, so foot L, and you want to set chain length to 2. That's how it propagates the deformations, you know, how many joints. So we'll go back to this bone, and you see when you move it, it now deforms the right way, and it looks more natural when it does it. Okay, again, we'll repeat that on the other calf. Add the bone constraint. And again, the target's the game engine bone structure. And this is foot right. Set chain length to 2. And now you should be ready to just do some very basic animations. So we're just gonna do like a simple walk, and we'll start off moving. Let's see, we could just make this the front leg, so we'll move it across like that. And usually when people walk, their feet are a little bit closer together. We'll move this back leg all the way to the back a bit, not too far. As you see now, it starts deforming a lot more than usual. And we'll rotate. And over here you can switch modes to right now we're just in translation mode, and if you click here you can have a nice sphere where you can rotate in each axis. I recommend it this way because if you're just using grab, you can't tell exactly what you did. Sometimes there's a little added motions if you use the grab tool. This is a lot more exact. So I'm gonna rotate this back foot a little bit forward. And let's make a frame of reference for the ground so you can see better where the feet are placed. I'm gonna press shift, hold shift, and press A. I'm gonna add in a plane, and then S will scale that plane out. So now we have a nice reference to see where the feet are placed exactly. And back in the pose, sometimes you'll want to uncheck or recheck the X-ray mode so you can see those feet better. Right here in pose mode. Now you can see if when it hits the ground plane with just the toes right there. Just gonna move this a little bit closer. And also I found that when you move the waist here, hold on, right, if you click the waist, so either this one or this one. Yeah, you want the waist a little bit lower when the feet are spread out, because as someone's walking, the height will change a little bit, just a little bit like that. And as you can see, it takes a lot of tweaking to get your perfect animation. So the best ways are to just watch different movies with real examples of how, you know, people move naturally, and that should be a good start to animate. But for now, we're just getting our first pose in, and we're gonna put in a keyframe. Okay, so I'll move that a little bit more. Okay, we'll just start out with this as the first keyframe. So press A to select all the bones, and then press I, and then press location, rotation, and scale. The reasoning for having scale as well is that there's all the slight deformations of the mesh, and that's what scale will capture that in there. On the left right here, you see that the dope sheet, we have our first keyframe at frame 1, and it has keyframes for all the bones. So to make it really simple for what we're doing, I recommend just closing that right there, and then whenever you select it, whenever you edit or add any keyframes, it's going to affect really all of these at the same time. Next, we'll just do the other pose, which we'll just set at, say, frame 30, and we'll set this pose as the opposite of the original pose. So over here, there's some controls to let you do the opposite poses. And so first we'll just copy it, the pose I already have, and I'll post the mirror opposite. This may or may not work, so there's another workaround I can show you real quick. Now you see how it gave us the opposite, but it's not exactly what we want. So what I recommend as a workaround to do this is that, okay, we'll deselect all these, press Z to go into wireframe mode, B for box select, you select just the feet, so B, and then regular click and drag. Now you want to see, I didn't want the fingers as well. Just get the feet. And we'll do that again. We'll copy and then paste. See, now you have the opposite. And we'll reselect all the bones again. Press I, location, rotation, scale again. And now you should have your very first animation. And another keyboard shortcut is we can set how long this animation is toward the end. So I just want to make it to like 120. Click over here and then press letter E key, like Edward E. That should just set it up to 120 frames. Okay, and next there's subtle slight variations you can keep adding or tweaking to make the walk look a lot better. So you have the first step, and then you want to end it with the very first step again. So we'll go back to frame 1, we'll copy it, and frame 60 we'll just paste the exact position again. We'll select everything and then add a new keyframe. We'll go back, see how that looks. Looks alright, and the in-between keyframes, as each foot passes, one of the feet are more direct on the ground versus the other. So I'll make the left foot in this case just be on the ground more. Okay, that looks alright, and we'll reselect all the bones. Finally add a keyframe again, and we'll again see the animation. Now if you want to change each keyframe, you can click that exact frame and then do a new change to it. And what you'll do is you'll reinsert the keyframe in the exact same spot, and that will override your keyframe. And that's pretty much a way to edit your keyframes, is just overriding it with your new setting by going to that exact frame. So in this case, I'll just do a small edit, reselect everything, just reinsert the keyframe, and now it's edited that keyframe. So those are the basics of animating. There's some other keyboard shortcuts to do in here. So if you want to remove a keyframe, up here in the dope sheet editor, right click on one of the keyframes and then press X. You can delete one of those keyframes. You can also press G to grab and move each keyframe on the timeline. You can change the durations. And you can also scale the duration of even the groups of keyframes with S. So right now I just made it just take a lot longer. And the graph editor itself is really more for setting the exact transitions between each keyframe, like how smoothly they'll transition between each other. And that's a whole nother topic for another tutorial of how to tweak each animations with each other. But this should give you a good starting point of how to animate with a character, or even start off with a basic character to work with. I mean, Make Human, you can just do the basic settings and then import the model into either Blender or a program like ZBrush and start sculpting it a lot closer to what you're really looking for, and that should save you a lot more time than having to build everything from scratch. So that's about it. I hope this really helps you get a lot better with just the simple basic animation.